Deciding which muscle groups to train together can be confusing. Most people say chest and triceps should be trained together, since they're both involved in bench and overhead pressing. Others say you should train biceps with chest because your arms will still be fresh after benching, so you might as well train them together. Arnold was known for training his chest and back together, and if that was good enough for the oak, then it should probably work for you, no? Other people still say that you shouldn't program your workouts around individual muscle groups at all, but should simply focus on doing a lot of heavy squatting, deadlifting, and bench pressing. So, how are you supposed to put all of this into an effective training plan that you enjoy? All you want is a program that helps you add muscle to all the right places without forcing you to sit in the gym for a couple of hours every day doing workouts that you hate. Well, I have good news for you. There is no best way to combine muscle groups together in your training. So long as you understand a few basic principles, there are many workable ways to combine them into workouts that not only work, but that you enjoy and can stick to. Body part row, splits, push-pull legs, and upper-lower routines can all work equally well, and which one you use really depends on how many times per week you want to train, how many years you've been training, and what muscle groups you want to work on most. And we're going to break it all down in this video. By the end, you're going to know which muscle groups to train together and why, the best exercises for each, and how to create a workout routine that's guaranteed to deliver results. Let's get started. A muscle group is exactly what it sounds like, a group of muscles situated close together on your body that perform similar movements. When it comes to building muscle, the 6 main muscle groups you should pay attention to are the chest, back, arms, shoulders, legs, calves. Categorizing muscles into units like this helps us better organize and prioritize our training. If you want to build a bigger upper body, for instance, it doesn't make sense to train your lower body as often. Yet that's exactly what you'll get if you follow most full body workout plans. That can work fine if you're only training 2 to 3 times per week, but if you increase your training frequency, you'll quickly end up overtrained or injured. On the other hand, many people focus too much on trying to isolate individual muscles like the biceps. Every exercise uses a variety of surrounding muscles, so there isn't much point in trying to only grow a single muscle. Rather, you should look at them as units, or muscle groups. And here they are. The best way to train all 6 major muscle. The 6 main muscle groups. The 6 main muscle groups. Muscle groups. A muscle group is exactly what it sounds like, a group of muscles situated close together on your body that perform similar movements. When it comes to building muscle, the 6 main muscle groups you should pay attention to are the chest, back, arms, shoulders, legs, calves. Categorizing muscles into units like this helps us better organize and prioritize our training. If you want to build a bigger upper body, for instance, it doesn't make sense to train your lower body as often. Yet that's exactly what you'll get if you follow most full body workout plans. That can work fine if you're only training 2 to 3 times per week, but if you increase your training frequency, you'll quickly end up overtrained or injured. On the other hand, many people focus too much on trying to isolate individual muscles like the biceps. Every exercise uses a variety of surrounding muscles, so there isn't much point in trying to only grow a single muscle. Rather, you should look at them as units, or muscle groups. And here they are. Muscle group number 1. Chest. The main muscle of the chest is the pectoralis major, or pec major. Here's what it looks like. The chest muscle's main function is to bring the upper arm across the body. Unlike most other muscles, though, the fibers of the chest muscle aren't all aligned in the same direction. As you can see, the pec major has multiple heads, or places where the muscle fibers attach to the skeleton. There's a sternocostal head, which attaches the sternum and ribcage to your upper arm, and a clavicular head, which attaches your collarbone to your upper arm. Why is this important? Well, how a muscle attaches to the surrounding skeleton changes how you should train it. Certain exercises, like the flat and decline bench press, emphasize the larger sternocostal head of the pecs, and exercises that involve moving the arms up and away from the chest, like the incline and reverse grip bench press, emphasize the smaller clavicular head. Muscle group number 2. Back. The 4 muscles that make up the bulk of the back, and that we want to focus on developing, are the trapezius, rhomboids, latissimus, dorsi, erector spinae. Here's how they look. The erector spinae aren't shown on the above chart. The erector spinae aren't shown on the given chart, that run along the length of the spine. There are a few smaller bundles of muscle that matter as well, such as the teres major and minor, and the infraspinatus. You can see them here. As you can see, the lats attach your upper arm to your back to form a wing-like shape. Your traps connect your spine to your shoulder blades. The spinal erectors run parallel to your spine, and do exactly what you'd expect: keep your spine stabilized and upright. The rhomboids stabilize your shoulder blades by linking them to your spine. Now, here's the goal in terms of overall back development. Large, but not overdeveloped, traps that establish the upper back. Wide lats that extend low down the torso, creating that pleasing V-taper. Bulky rhomboids that create valleys when flexed. Clear development and separation in the teres muscles and infraspinatus. A thick Christmas tree structure in the lower back. Many people neglect directly training this muscle group because it isn't a mirror muscle. Developing a wide, thick, defined back, though, is one of the best ways to take your physique from decent to exceptional. Muscle group number 3. Arms: biceps, brachii, brachialis, triceps, forearms. The biceps, or formally, biceps brachii, is a two-headed muscle that looks like this. Another muscle you need to know about is the brachialis, which lies beneath the biceps brachii and assists it in flexing at the elbow. Here's how it looks. While this muscle isn't nearly as prominent as the biceps brachii, it plays an important role in the overall appearance of your arms. When well developed, the brachialis looks like a knot in between the biceps brachii and triceps, and it noticeably impacts the overall appearance of the arms. First, it cleanly separates the biceps and triceps when flexed, which better showcases each. Second, it pushes the biceps brachii up, giving you a better peak when flexing. Here's a picture that illustrates my point. The biceps' job is to flex the arm, or bring your forearm closer to your upper arm. They also supinate the elbow, which means turning your hand upward as if you were about to catch something. To maximally stimulate the biceps, you typically want to keep your hands turned palm up toward the ceiling. The triceps, or triceps brachii, do the opposite job of the biceps, pushing your forearm away from your upper arm. This is what they look like. As you can see, the three heads combine to form the distinctive horseshoe that can become quite pronounced when properly developed. When most people think of arm muscles, they think of the biceps. Big biceps equals big arms, right? Not necessarily. Ironically, the biceps contribute substantially less to overall arm size than the triceps, which are a much larger muscle group. You can see this clearly in a shot like this. Small triceps means small, disproportionate arms, regardless of the size of the biceps. Last but not least are the forearms, which are comprised of several small muscles. Forearms are like the calves of the arms. They aren't the immediate focus, but if they're underdeveloped, it's sorely obvious. If they're well developed, however, it greatly enhances the whole appearance of the limbs. You'll want to train all of these muscles to develop a set of standout arms. Muscle group number 4. Shoulders. Your shoulders are comprised of three major muscles known as deltoids, and here's how they look. The three heads of the deltoids are the anterior head, front, lateral head, middle, posterior head, rear. The delts mainly work to stabilize nearby muscle groups like the pecs, lats, and biceps. The rear delts help the lats and traps bring the arm behind you, the front delts help the pecs bring your arms in front of you, and your lateral delts help the traps, pecs, and other muscles around your neck and upper back raise your arm to the side. This is important because the angle at which you press or pull will change how much the delts are trained relative to other muscles. For example, an overhead press will use more anterior delt than upper chest, and a barbell row will use more rear delt than a lat pull-down. It's very important to develop all three heads of this muscle, because if one is lagging, it will be painfully obvious. In most cases, the lateral and posterior deltoids need the most work because the anterior deltoids do get trained to some degree in a good chest workout, and nobody skips chest day. Chest training doesn't adequately train the other two deltoid heads though, which is why it's best to include some additional exercises that also train your lateral and posterior delts. Muscle group number 5. Legs. The legs are made up of several major muscle groups. The quadriceps, the hamstrings, the glutes. Technically, the calves are also part of the legs, but since they require a very different style of training, we'll address those separately. Each of these muscle groups are best trained by different exercises, and each have special needs if you're going to achieve maximal development and definition. There are quite a few different leg muscles, so let's take a moment to discuss them separately. The quads, the quadriceps are a set of 4 large muscles on the front of your legs. Vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, vastus intermedius, rectus femoris. Interestingly, new research indicates there's a 5th muscle involved. So maybe we should be talking about the quintriceps instead? Together the quadriceps muscles work to extend the knees and flex the hips. Thus, quadriceps exercises bring the hip from an extended to a flexed position, bending the joint, and bring the knee from a flexed to an extended position, straightening the joint. When the quads are well developed, they form the centerpiece of the legs. Case in point. Now, many people believe that you can get all of the quad development you need from lots of heavy back squatting. For your quads, an entire lower body, but for optimal quad development, you should do others as well, including front squats and lunges. As you'll see, the best quads exercises that you can do are mostly compound exercises, and mostly involve using free weights. The hamstrings are a group of 3 muscles on the back of your legs. Semitendinosus semimembranosus biceps femoris. Here's how they look. The hamstrings work together to flex the knee, as when you're doing a hamstring curl, and extend the hips during exercises like the hip thrust and deadlift. The biceps femoris is also split into 2 heads, or sections, just like the biceps in your arm. Unlike the biceps, however, the hamstrings tend to be one of the most neglected muscles of the lower body. The quads get most of the attention because they're larger and more visible, and this can create a muscular imbalance between the front and back of the thighs that looks strange and may increase the risk of injury. Many people also think that squatting is all you need for your hamstrings, and this is mistaken. While the squat does involve the hamstrings, the quads do the lion's share of the work. And this is especially true with the type of squatting that you often seen in the gym, quarter and half repping. So, a good rule of thumb is to always include exercises that target your hamstrings in your lower body workouts, in addition to your quads' dominant exercises. The gluteus muscles, or glutes, are comprised of 3 muscles that form your butt. The gluteus maximus, the gluteus minimus, the gluteus medius. Here's how they look. They're for more than just show, too. Together, they play a key role in stabilizing your body during all kinds of movement, and generating force in exercises like the deadlift and squat. Now, if you're training your lower body correctly, you don't have to do additional training for your glutes. That said, if you feel your glutes are a weak point in your physique, or if you just want maximum booty, then you'll want to include exercises that specifically target them. Muscle group number 6. The calves are made up of 2 powerful muscles. The gastrocnemius. The soleus is the large, or not so much, muscle you see when you look at your calf. The soleus is a deep muscle that lies underneath the gastrocnemius. Here's how they look. These 2 muscles work together to flex the ankle. The gastrocnemius is involved in knee flexion as well. When it comes to looks, we're most concerned with the gastrocnemius, but a properly developed soleus is critical as well because it supports the larger gastroc both in function and visual size. Due to the way the calf muscles are oriented, it's best to use different exercises to train each. There are really only 2 types of exercises that you can do to effectively train your calves. 1. Calf pressing. If you're pressing your toes against resistance, it's a calf press. 2. Calf raising. If you're using your calves to raise and lower your body against gravity, it's a calf raise. And those break down into seated and standing variations. Standing presses and raises are done with the legs straight and emphasize the gastrocnemius. Seated work is done, well, seated and with the legs bent, which emphasizes the soleus. It's important to do both standing and seated calf work and to emphasize your standing exercises if you want to get the most out of your calf workouts. The reason for doing both is making sure that your soleus isn't neglected, and the reason for doing more standing than seated work is you want to focus most of your effort on training your gastrocnemius. What about the core? The core, or the group of muscles around your midsection, is often counted as the 7th major muscle group. It's made up of the rectus abdominis, transverse abdominis, and the internal and external obliques. These muscles all stabilize the spine and help with spinal flexion, bringing your chest closer to your hips. For the sake of completeness, you could call the core a muscle group. In the context of building a workout plan, though, that's not typically necessary. This is because if you're training the other 6 major muscle groups with heavy compound exercises, your core is getting enough indirect training that you don't really need a separate workout just for your core. This doesn't mean that direct core training is useless, however. A-flat and core exercises aren't required to get a six-pack, but they can help improve your physique. So do let us know in the comments on what topics you want us to make our next video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe our channel for more informative topics for your healthy life.